Everybody believes that the fall of DiamondBank started when Alex Otti resigned. But the truth is, it started even before Otti left the bank. You should know Alex Otti, the current governor of Abia State in Nigeria. He was the MD of DiamondBank.
Today you see that we have DiamondBank UK PLC.
Yes.
Okay, and that took some money out of our capital.
By the time Otti was making this speech, you probably had a DiamondBank account, or you knew someone who had one. Back then, behind every 10 business-minded Nigerians, there was at least 2 DiamondBank accounts. But the fall of DiamondBank started like a drop, starting off with the sale of the 14.79% shares belonging to Actis Holdings Limited, the failed deal with Nest Oil, the $125 million loan from GT Bank, the retirement of Igwe Achebe from the board of directors, the $9 billion loss in 2017 before the bank was finally acquired by Access Bank in 2018. Back in 2007, Actis Holdings Limited entered into an equity deal with DiamondBank PLC. The deal was worth about 17 billion naira and was regarded as the single biggest of such deals as at that time. The deal opened the door of more funding for DiamondBank. Several years down the line, Actis Holdings Limited wanted to take away their investment from DiamondBank. They offered the 14.79% shares they had in the bank to Alex Otti. Based on the confidence they had in Otti's leadership in the bank, and for the fact that Otti has already made it known that he will be leaving DiamondBank in few months, they believed his absence will likely not mean good for the bank, and it was time for them to say goodbye too.
Goodbye.
But the problem is, with the contract Actis signed with DiamondBank, whenever they feel like taking their investment away, they should first of all offer it to Mr. Pascal Dozier, who has the right of first refusal in the contract. Who is Pascal Dozier, and why is he so important? Mr. Pascal Dozier was the founder of DiamondBank. He began the DiamondBank journey when traders in eastern Nigeria were faced with banking problems after the Biafran Civil War. He built a bank that will serve the interests of the traders and Nigerians in general. He was the CEO of DiamondBank from 1991 till 2006. So the Actis contract stated that Actis can only sell their stakes in the bank to another firm or individual only if Mr. Pascal Dozier has no interest in buying the shares. So as Actis reached out to Alex Otti to buy the shares, Otti, aware of the contract terms, reached out to inform Mr. Pascal Dozier. According to reports, Mr. Dozier authorized him to look for any willing investor to purchase the Actis shares. Mr. Dozier also informed him that he currently cannot source the fund to exercise his right to buy, and was willing to waive those rights if there's any interested buyer. Otti went on with the search to get an investor who will buy the shares. All these were happening in the middle of 2014. As Otti searched for new investors, he was able to convince an oil and gas magnate, Dr. Ernest Obejesi, to buy the shares. Ernest Obejesi is the CEO of Nest Oil. With Nest Oil agreeing to buy the shares, Otti returned to Mr. Dozier to show him the proposal and also get his feedback. Mr. Dozier was reportedly happy that Otti was able to secure a buyer. According to the proposal, the shares will be sold at a discounted price of 7.50 kobo per share, against the market price of about 9 naira per share. The total value of the shares was about $120 billion. However, 2 days before the deal was to be signed off, after all agreements had been reached, Mr. Dozier came up with a surprise. In a memorable telephone call to Otti, he said, "Hello, yes, Alex, on second thoughts, I think you should hold action on that matter. My children and I have decided to raise the money and pick up the shares." Otti was speechless and disappointed. He was considering the embarrassment such news would cause Mr. Nest Oil, who had worked so hard to mobilize the huge resources to buy the shares, and who might have sold some assets to make up the money. He then reached out to Mr. Nest Oil with a calm voice and apology. Mr. Nest Oil felt so bad with the news and threatened to take legal action against the bank and Mr. Dozier. However, he was persuaded not to do so by His Royal Majesty Igwe Nnemeka Alfred Achebe, who was the chairman of the board of directors in the bank as at that time. He then accepted the plea of Igwe Achebe and deleted the idea of taking a legal action. Mr. Dozie went on with the decision of buying the shares under the name Hunok Holdings, which belongs to the Dozie family. He approached GT Bank and took a loan of $125 million, taking his investments in MTN and his other assets. By then, he was the chairman of the board of directors in MTN and had a 1.6% shares in MTN, valued at over $100 million. But suddenly after the deal, things began to fall apart. The Nigerian economy went bad, the Nigerian currency lost value, the bank's share price fell, and Mr. Dozie was left with the short end of the stick. As the naira lost value, exchange rate weakened from the 116 naira per dollar it was in 2014 when the GT Bank transaction was done, to about 500 naira when GT Bank called for the loan repayment. The shares lost value from the 7 naira 50 kobo the family paid per share to an all-time low of about 1 naira per share. The bad situation was getting worse daily. By this time, Uti had already left DiamondBank, and Uzoma Dozie, who is one of the sons of Pascal Dozie, was the group managing director of DiamondBank. He was believed to have less experience compared to what Uti could offer. Some news reports believed that he was installed as group managing director of DiamondBank because his family wanted full control of the bank in order to save their investments, even though it wasn't working as planned. As soon as Oti left in October 2014, and with the new management now in charge, the bank began witnessing some unfavorable figures, which led to the fall of its shares. Before then, under Oti, DiamondBank witnessed some impressive growth across the 3 years Oti was the group managing director. From the time Oti took office in March 2011, the bank made a profit before tax of 28.36 billion naira in 2012, compared to the 16 billion naira loss it recorded in 2011. In 2013, the bank's revenue grew again to 32.5 billion naira. These figures prompted the words of Igwe Alfred Achebe, who, while commenting on Oti's resignation, said that Alex Oti's tenure as GMD of DiamondBank was the brightest years of DiamondBank. Unfortunately, those brightest years was for a short while, and the year 2014 turned out to be a dark year in the history of DiamondBank. Not only did Oti resign in October 2014 and the brightest years came to an end, but Actis left in August 2014, 2 months before Oti's official departure. And in same 2014, on 31st December, Igwe Alfred Achebe left his position as chairman, board of directors, based on retirement. So after all these departures, with the new DiamondBank leadership in the hands of the Doziers, in 2015, the bank could no longer yield any revenues, thus putting in danger Mr. Dozier's risky investments. He became increasingly unable to service the debt he owes GT Bank, and GT Bank decided to foreclose some of his assets to recover their money. This opened the gates of more problems for DiamondBank. At a point, selling the bank became Mr. Dozier's only move to preserve his business empire and save his name. At the age of 76, and after over 24 years of building DiamondBank, why should all this happening at a time which should be the happy days of his banking journey? By the end of 2015, the bank's profit after tax went down from the 28.36 billion naira it made in 2012 to 5.65 billion naira. It went down further to 3.499 billion naira in 2016, and unfortunately, in 2017, the bank made no more profit, but accumulated a total loss of about 9 billion naira. In that same 2017, noticing that it could no longer continue to cope with the losses from its subsidiaries, it came to a point where the bank started selling its assets in full sum profitability. The bank sold its West African operations in Benin Republic, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. They went further to sell the bank's London subsidiary. Subsequently, when there were no more assets left to be sold, it was then time to sell the entire bank. Access Bank then knocked on the door. On December 19, 2018, Access Bank and DiamondBank announced that both banks had signed a memorandum of agreement in respect of a potential merger between both banks. Following the completion of the merger, DiamondBank will be absorbed into Access Bank and would cease to exist under the Nigerian law. The combined bank will retain the Access Bank's name and be led by Access Bank's Chief Executive Officer. As the announcement was made, the question on the lips of Nigerians was how did DiamondBank fall so low that a smaller bank like Access could buy it up? I just told you how. These unfortunate transactions were the reason that DiamondBank collapsed. I believe by now you should have subscribed, like, and share this video. Thank you for coming by.